I'd like you to start by looking at this is an internal affairs complaint that was sustained in part. It came off my wall of fame. These, however, are off my wall of shame. Now, it started out as errors on a report. It went to, that was sustained, the officer was ordered to update his report. Okay.
Let me read this. It was January 2009.
That's what started the chain reaction of events.
Okay.
And it went from that to when Officer Avizu updated his report. There were lies in the report, and they're trying to close the case by misrepresentation, saying that...
Can you make a copy of this? Can you make me a copy of this?
Here, why don't you go ahead and have her copy of these two? Those in the file.
I need a copy of these, okay?
If you like.
Why don't you shut that off a minute till I get the copy? To not call them anymore. Is that correct?
Yes, at the bottom they said...
The last paragraph on both of these letters is saying neither you or your ex-wife or mother of your child not to contact the sheriff's department to reference this matter anymore, right?
Correct. And what that is that's because they referenced harassing and abusing for trying to correct their willful misconstrued statements, which is obstructing alone.
Okay.
We're also threatened with Title 13 unlawful imprisonment under the guise of harassment. Mm-hmm. And of course I haven't been served with an injunction against harassment, and it's basically job abandonment for a lot of these guys. Now the lieutenant, that's a class 5 felony potentially, and it's ×2. And another one of these letters exists to someone else in a separate internal affairs complaint, so they standardize these letters and give them out to people. We have evidence of that as well. Mm-hmm. So the threats and intimidation thing is a huge issue. Now, Sean Payne, their internal affairs guys, I have him on the record.
Sean who?
Sean Payne, he's one of their detectives.
Uh-huh.
I have him on the record telling me that I asked him, so internal affairs is broken? He wouldn't say anything. I'm not allowed to go to internal affairs and complain to you guys anymore? And he said, yeah. So he's now obstructing because he's
Well, they're saying you can't go there and complain anymore on this issue. They're not saying if you have a new issue that you can't go there and complain.
Wrong, because the first issue, when the letter came out, that was when the Lieutenant Sacco obstructed. Mm-hmm. And that's ×3 because 3 letters. Okay, and they're closing the case by willful misrepresentation like she alleges here. Well, anyways, back to, they're not saying I can't complain on other issues because they are saying that because this went to Sheriff Dupnick about Lieutenant Sacco, complaint on Lieutenant Sacco. And they're saying I'm not allowed to talk about the previous issues. But now it's her obstructing I'm talking about, related to the previous issues. And they can't just job abandonment like that and obstruct right there.
Okay, Aaron, let me explain something to you.
Go ahead.
We're a county agency, too.
I know I read the website that says that you're here to protect and maintain our individual rights, and I'm thanking you for in advance for helping on this.
Well, I'm not going to be able to help because we don't investigate the sheriff's department.
Well, then I'm going to need one of you to accompany me down there when I make a citizen's arrest under A.R.S. 133884, which is also a constitutional right.
What I'm suggesting you to do is not us, go to the Attorney General's office. That's a state agency. They can investigate the sheriff's department.
Well,
we can't.
The TPD can then too, because the venue applies. It's in their jurisdiction. When
the county, the city's within the county. The county's not within the city. So the city cannot investigate the sheriff's department.
Sure they can, because these records were formulated in the city at their department.
No, they were formulated in the county. This is the county case number.
Yeah,
so
but their department where Lieutenant Sacco typed this up is in the city, and she obstructed in the city limits under the venue of the Tucson city jurisdiction. Well, they could always obstruct too. I'm going to take it to them. I mean, it just makes the case bigger and the story bigger for the public interests.
Aaron, let me say this again. I'm going to go talk to my supervisor.
And I'm going to need an appointment with Barbra Law anyway.
Okay. Let me go talk to him, and then I'll come back down and we'll continue this conversation, okay?
Okay, it goes a lot further than this.
Okay, so let me just camera for a minute and I'll be right back.
I'd just like to point something else out real here. With respect to the deputy's report, upon review, it was determined there were omissions. The deputy completed and amended a report to those omissions. Amending the original report does not, I know, constitute tampering with the public record as you allege. I never alleged that. They have it in writing what I alleged. The officer
I'll be right back.
Lied when he updated his report, not because he updated his report. So that's misconstrued. It's also obstructing there.
All right.
And because they won't correct it, it's now willful and intentionally and knowingly. Go ahead.
I'm a detective supervisor with the county attorney's office. This is Philip Young, he's also a detective. I just talked to the chief of detectives, Ken Janes,
Okay.
and he advised us, like I advised you earlier, that we represent the sheriff's department. Our civil division represents the sheriff's department.
I understand that,
So
but
it's
on
a
the website,
conflict of interest. Let me talk first, then you can talk.
Okay.
It's a conflict of interest for us to do anything with the sheriff's department, because we'll end up defending them on a civil action. Say you hire a civil lawyer to sue them, we would end up defending them. And like I previously stated, you need to go to the Attorney General's office. They're a state agency.
correct.
And register your complaint with them, and they have an investigator just like me over there.
You see, but I've done the investigation and I've done my homework.
Right.
And the Attorney General is kind of a stumbling block. How come you didn't suggest for me to go to Rule 2.2B and through a direct file in front of the magistrate? The paperwork will come back to your office and you'll have to prosecute criminally anyway.
We would go out to, we'd give it to the city prosecutors or back to the Attorney General. We wouldn't prosecute this
Well,
case.
then that's what I want to happen. I want some help without the extra stumbling blocks. This is job abandonment on internal affairs. They're not going to do their job, and maybe funding should go to flood control because we all know they got problems too.
Right. But again, I'll just politely ask you to tell you that you need to go to the Attorney General's
I
office.
understand
Maybe I'm
that.
not explaining it correctly. I'm going to ask this detective to ask you to tell you the same thing. So maybe my English is not so good because I'm from the East Coast and I have an accent.
No, I understand. Everybody tells me, and you can go ahead and tell me too, but there's another way. Since this is felony and it's not a misdemeanor involving the breach of peace, then I have a constitutional right of self-defense and the defense of others. I can make a citizen's arrest under A.R.S. 133884. It's going to end up in your office that way. And I can take the TPD to keep the peace and make them make a report anyway. And it's going to go one way or the other, and I need to do this way so that people can do it easier and not have to go to the Attorney General, and that can be done the next day and not a year later. You want to explain to me your way? It might be easier.
The supervisor explained exactly what the chief said. We cannot be involved in this because it's a conflict of what we do. We represent them, our civil division represents them. We are an agency that takes arrests outside and brings them to our attorneys. Then they get reviewed and worked on. That's our function. We are not an arresting agency that we proactively go out and arrest people. So that's not our function here, and that's been explained to you. So the Attorney General is your avenue, not the Pima County
Well, I had
Attorney's
other
office.
things explained to me to bring it to the county attorneys and Ramon Valadez too, because the elected officials take an oath of office and they're supposed to protect and maintain our victims' rights under 2.0, whatever it is, political powers inherent to people of governments. You know, protect and maintain individual rights. What's established? Protect and maintain individual rights? Government. So Ramon Valadez, Barbra, they've all got paperwork. They all have an oath. Their website even said they protect the rights of the citizens, but you're saying it's a conflict of interest. Kind of sounds like a free pass for the sheriffs.
We're not in their internal affairs. We don't enforce their internal affairs.
Okay, but I'm talking-
Nor could an officer walk over to the Pima County or to the sheriff's department and arrest the sheriff. It's not going to happen on this level.
Okay, but I should take a TPD probably if I want to arrest him for felony charges
You're
and try a
welcome to do
citizen's
what you would
arrest.
like.
Well, it's a constitutional right. It's authorized and mandated by statute, ARS statutes.
If I overheard correctly, you were told not to go to the Pima County Sheriff's Office anymore, so
Regarding this information, but then,
I would caution you not to do that, just personally. So
personally caution? Not a,
it sounds like you shouldn't be doing that, so.
But
well, they're covering up. They're being
what'll happen if you
crooked.
go to the sheriff's department, in my opinion, is that they'll probably ask you to leave, and if you don't leave, they're going to arrest you for trespassing.
Well,
So,
they're not going to be able to do that because I'm going to be calling 911 from their payphone and have a legitimate purpose. They'll be obstructing another criminal investigation.
sure. And I've explained it to you.
Okay, well, I'm still going to need a appointment with Barbara Lawal because I'm documenting what it takes to get an appointment with Barbara Lawal, and I haven't been able to get one.
Aaron, you can call her secretary.
Well, I've done that, but that's why I'm here too. Maybe I should see her secretary.
No, you're not going to see your secretary yet. But now, Aaron, Mr. Ray, I'm going to ask you to leave now, okay? And
Well, I understand what that means. You have a nice day and a better tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for your time being a real American.
Nice to see you.
That's sarcasm, by the way.